I shouldn't have been on this boat. That was the only thought screaming through my head as the yacht lurched violently to the side, sending champagne flutes and designer briefcases skittering across the polished deck. The sound of splintering wood cut through the air like a scream, and I grabbed the railing so hard my knuckles went white. "Mr. Kang, the engine's failing!" someone shouted from below deck. I didn't care about the engine. I cared about the fact that I was trapped on a sinking corporate death trap with the four men I hated most in the world. My name is Jiwon, 23 years old, graphic designer, Omega, and currently the universe's favorite punching bag. The yacht tilted again, and I slammed into the railing, ribs screaming in protest. Salt spray stung my eyes. My suppressants were wearing off. I could feel it in the way my skin prickled, the way my scent wanted to unfurl like a flag I'd spent years keeping folded. Not here, not now, not in front of them. "Everyone, life vests, now!" That was Kang Taejin, pack leader, CEO. 28 years old and carved from ice and arrogance. His voice didn't waver, even as the boat groaned like a dying animal beneath us. He stood near the helm, dark hair whipping in the wind, his sharp jaw set in that expression I knew too well. Cold calculation, zero empathy. I hated him most of all. "Jiwon, move!" Choi Do-yun, 27, Chief Operations Officer, the one who pretended to care. He reached for my arm, but I jerked away, stumbling toward the life vest locker. I didn't need his fake concern. I'd seen the way he signed off on my project rejections without even reading them. Kindness was just another corporate tool to him. "The hull's breached." Park Yun-seo's voice cut through the chaos. 29, Chief Financial Officer, the quiet one, the one who never looked at me directly but somehow always knew when I'd made a mistake. He was already strapping on a vest, his elegant fingers moving with mechanical precision. And then there was Seo Hwan, 27, Chief Marketing Officer, wild card, currently laughing, actually laughing, as he wrestled with a tangled life vest strap. "This is insane," he shouted, grinning like a maniac. "We're all gonna die and Taejin's still giving orders." "Shut up and put the vest on," Taejin snapped. The boat lurched again, harder this time. My stomach dropped as the deck tilted at an impossible angle. I heard wood crack, felt the world shift beneath my feet, and then I was falling. Not into water, into air. The yacht had hit something. Rocks, reef, I didn't know. And the impact launched me over the railing like a ragdoll. Wind roared in my ears, my lungs seized. Time slowed to a crawl, and in that single horrifying heartbeat, I saw them all watching me fall. Taijin's eyes went wide. Do-yun lunged forward. Yun-seo's mouth opened in a shout I couldn't hear. Hwan just stared. Then I hit the water. Cold, brutal, suffocating. The ocean swallowed me whole, dragging me down into a churning darkness that tasted of salt and terror. My suppressant patch ripped away in the violence of the current. I felt it go. I never felt my scent bloom like blood in the water. Sweet citrus and something sharper, something that screamed Omega to anyone with a nose. I kicked, clawed. My lungs burned, my vision blurred. I'm going to die. And weirdly, absurdly, my last thought was, at least I won't have to finish that presentation for Taejin. Something grabbed my arm. I thrashed, panicked, but the grip was ironclad. A body pressed against mine, warm and solid, pulling me upward through the chaos. We broke the surface together and I gasped, choking on seawater in relief. "Stop fighting me!" Do-yun's voice, rough and urgent, in my ear. His arm locked around my chest, holding me above water. "Just breathe!" I couldn't. My body was shaking too hard, my mind fracturing into 1,000 terrified pieces. The yacht was sinking 20 feet away, tilting nose first into the waves. Debris floated everywhere, splintered wood, shredded cushions, someone's leather shoe. "There!" Yun-seo's shout cut through the roar of the ocean. He was clinging to a piece of the hull, his usually perfect hair plastered to his forehead. "Land! I see land!" I followed his gaze. Through the spray and chaos, I saw it. A dark smudge of green against the horizon. An island. Small. Distant. Impossible. "Swim!" Taejin's command cracked like a whip. He was already moving, cutting through the water with ruthless efficiency. Juan laughed again, breathless and half-drowned. Guess we're doing this. Do-Yun's arm tightened around me. Can you swim? Yes, I choked out. Barely. He let me go but stayed close. Then swim. So I did. I swam toward that impossible island, my body screaming, my scent trailing behind me like a beacon I couldn't hide. And somewhere in the back of my mind, beneath the terror, beneath the exhaustion, a thought flickered. A vision, sharp and sudden. 4 shadows on a beach, blood in the sand. A choice I wasn't ready to make. I shoved it down. Not now, not ever. I was going to survive this, even if it killed me. Spoiler alert, it almost did. My arms gave out halfway to shore. 1 second I was dragging myself through the water with sheer spite. The next my muscles just quit. Like they'd collectively decided drowning was preferable to another second of this hell. The waves dragged me under. I didn't panic this time. I was too tired. The ocean filled my mouth, my nose, and I thought, well, this is embarrassing. Survived a yacht explosion just to drown like an idiot. Then hands grabbed me. Sorta again. I surfaced, sputtering, and found myself staring into Taejin's face. Water streamed down his sharp features, his usually perfect hair a mess of black strands across his forehead. His gray eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that would have made me uncomfortable if I wasn't busy coughing up half the Pacific. Stop, drowning, he bit out like it was a personal insult. Stop being bossy, I gasped between breaths. His jaw tightened. For a second, I thought he might actually let me go out of sheer annoyance. Instead, he hooked an arm under mine and started swimming, dragging me along like luggage. I don't need your help, I wheezed. Clearly. I wanted to argue, but my body had other priorities, like not dying. So I let him pull me through the water, hating every second of it. Oh, hating the way his scent cut through the salt and brine. Cedar and something darker. Something that made my omega instincts sit up and pay attention, despite my best efforts to smother them. The beach appeared in fragments. White sand, twisted driftwood, palm trees swaying against a sky that was way too blue for the day I was having. My feet hit solid ground, and I nearly sobbed with relief. Taejin released me the second we were in shallow water. I stumbled forward, legs shaking, and collapsed onto the sand like a drunk starfish. The beach was hot against my cheek, gritty, real. Everyone accounted for? Taejin's voice, still in CEO mode, even soaking wet and stranded. Here, Yunso called from somewhere to my left. His voice was tight, controlled, always controlled. Alive! That was Juan, of course. Mostly? Do-Yun. Taejin's tone sharpened. A pause, then, yeah, I'm good. I forced myself to lift my head. The 4 of them were scattered across the beach in various states of disaster. Do-Hyun was on his knees, breathing hard, his white shirt plastered to his chest and torn at the shoulder. Yunso sat perfectly upright despite looking like a drowned cat, already scanning the tree line with those calculating eyes. Juan was flat on his back, arms spread wide, grinning at the sky like he was on vacation, and Taejin stood at the waterline, staring back at the empty horizon where our yacht used to be. Well, Juan announced to no one in particular, this is officially the worst corporate retreat ever. I almost laughed. Almost. It came out as more of a choked wheeze. Jiwon. Do-Yun was suddenly beside me, crouched down, his hand hovering near my shoulder, but not quite touching. You okay? Peachy, I rasped, pushing myself into a sitting position. Sand clung to my wet clothes, my hair, probably inside my ears. Love surprise island getaways. His mouth twitched, almost a smile. You hit your head? Only my pride. This time he did smile, small and brief, before his expression shifted back to concern. The fake kind. The kind that looked real but never quite reached his eyes when it came to actual decisions that affected me. I looked away. That's when I felt it. The prickling awareness creeping up my spine, the way the air suddenly felt thicker. My suppressant was gone, ripped away by the ocean, which meant my scent was out there, completely unfiltered, broadcasting to 4 alphas exactly what I was. I waited for the comments, the looks, and the shift in how they saw me. But Taijin just turned from the water, all business. We need shelter before dark. Inventory what we have. Yunseo, check the tree line for fresh water. Hwan, firewood. Dohyun. I'll look for food, Dohyun finished, already standing. Jiwon. Taijin's gaze landed on me. Rest. You look like death. Wow. Flattering. I'm serious. So am I. I'm fine. I forced myself to my feet, ignoring the way my legs trembled. I can help. You can barely stand. And you're bleeding. I pointed at the gash above his eyebrow, the blood mixing with seawater and dripping down his temple. So maybe worry about yourself. Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe. Like he'd forgotten I could talk back. It's nothing, he said. It's a head wound. Jiwon. Oh my God. Just let me look at it. I moved toward him before I could overthink it, before the part of my brain that remembered he was my boss could stop me. Sit down before you pass out and make this even more complicated. For a long, tense second, he just stared at me. The other three had gone quiet, watching. Then impossibly, Taijin sat. He lowered himself onto a piece of driftwood, still watching me with those unreadable gray eyes. Waiting. I knelt in front of him, close enough to see the cut clearly, close enough to smell cedar and ocean and alpha. My hands were steadier than I expected as I reached for his face. This is going to hurt, I warned. I've had worse. Good for you. I pressed my fingers against the wound. He didn't flinch, didn't move, just kept looking at me like he was seeing something new. It made my stomach twist in ways I absolutely refused to analyze. You're doing it wrong, Taijin said. I pulled my hand back like I'd been burned. Excuse me. The pressure. You need to apply more or it won't stop bleeding. He said it like he was correcting a spreadsheet, not sitting there with blood running down his face. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to do it yourself? I shot back. Because I'm happy to let you bleed out while I go find literally anything else to do. His mouth twitched. Just barely. No. Then shut up and let me work. I pressed harder this time, ignoring the way he tensed beneath my touch. The cut wasn't deep, but head wounds bled like murder scenes. I needed something to clean it, something to bind it. I had nothing. We had nothing except wet clothes and sand and an island that probably wanted us dead. Where did you learn this? Taijin asked quietly. What, basic first aid? I didn't look at him. Couldn't. Eye contact felt dangerous right now, like staring too long at the sun. My grandmother. She believed omegas should know how to take care of themselves since no one else would bother. Silence, the kind that felt heavy. She sounds wise, he said finally. She was. I pulled my hand away, studying the wound. The bleeding had slowed. This needs proper cleaning or it'll get infected. We need fresh water. Yunseo's looking. Great. In the meantime, try not to die from a head wound on a deserted island. Bad look for a CEO. This time his mouth definitely moved. Almost a smile. Noted. I stood, brushing sand off my knees, and immediately regretted it. The world tilted sideways. My vision blurred at the edges. Taijin caught my elbow, steadying me. I told you to rest. And I told you I'm fine. The lie tasted bitter. My whole body ached. Everything hurt. Even my hair hurt. Jiwon. His grip tightened. Not painful, just firm. Anchoring. Sit down. Stop bossing me around. We're not in the office anymore. No, we're on an island, which means survival trumps pride. He guided me back down onto the driftwood, surprisingly gentle. So sit, before you collapse and I have to carry you. The mental image of Taijin carrying me bridal style across the beach was so absurd I almost laughed. Almost. Found it! Yunseo's shout cut through the air. He emerged from the tree line, his usual composure slightly ruffled, pointing back the way he came. Fresh water, stream, about 200 meters inland. Good. Taijin released my arm and stood. Dohyun. Status? Plenty of driftwood. Dohyun appeared from down the beach, arms loaded with bleached branches. Hwan's grabbing more. We can build a shelter before sunset if we start now. Do it. Taijin turned to me. Jiwon, you're with Yunseo. Get water, clean wounds, inventory any useful plants. I blinked. You want me to do what now? You know first aid. Yunseo knows organization. Figure it out. He said it like it was obvious, like he hadn't spent the last 2 years treating me like decorative office furniture. Yunseo was already watching me with those dark, analytical eyes. Waiting. Fine, I muttered, pushing myself up again. Slower this time. But if I die of exhaustion, I'm haunting all of you. Noted, Tajin said, echo of my earlier words. Yunseo led the way into the jungle without a word. The temperature dropped the moment we stepped under the canopy, the air thick and green and alive. Vines hung like curtains. Something chirped in the distance. My wet shoes squelched against moss-covered ground. Here. Yunseo stopped beside a clear stream that bubbled over smooth stones. He crouched, cupping water in his hands, studying it like a science experiment. Looks clean. No obvious contamination. I knelt beside him, dunking my hands in. The water was cold, shocking against my sultry skin. I splashed my face, my neck, washing away dried blood and sand and the general feeling of death. When I looked up, Yunseo was staring at me. What? I asked, defensive. Nothing. But he didn't look away. You handled that well, with Tajin. Handled what? Basic wound care? No. He's standing up to him. Yunseo's expression remained neutral, but something shifted in his voice. Most people don't. Most people aren't stuck on an island with him. I cupped more water, drinking this time. It tasted like minerals and earth and safety. Survival changes priorities. Does it? I glanced at him sharply. What's that supposed to mean? Yunseo stood, brushing invisible dirt from his torn slacks. Even soaking wet and shipwrecked, he moved like he was in a boardroom. Just an observation. You're different here. Yeah, well, drowning tends to shift perspective. That's not what I mean. He looked at me directly now, fully, in a way he never had before. At the office, you made yourself small, quiet. Here you don't. My chest tightened. I didn't have a choice at the office. Why not? Because I'm an omega. The words came out sharper than intended. Because you're all alphas. Because hierarchy matters when there are rules. Out here? I gestured at the jungle around us. There are no rules, just survival. Yunseo was quiet for a long moment. Then, you're right. I waited for the but. It didn't come. We should head back, he said instead. They'll need water for cleaning wounds. He started walking. I followed, my mind spinning. Back at the beach, Doyun and Juan had constructed something that vaguely resembled shelter. Palm fronds lashed together with vine, propped between two trees. It looked like a strong breeze would destroy it. Home sweet home, Juan announced proudly, spreading his arms wide. I give it a solid 3 out of 10. Generous, I muttered. He grinned at me, wild, unrepentant. You're funny. I never noticed that before. That's because you never looked. Fair point. He didn't seem offended, just intrigued. Taijin appeared beside us, arms crossed. Shelter's done. Fire next. Then food. And sleep? I asked hopefully. His eyes met mine. Eventually. The sun was already sinking toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of amber and blood. Night was coming, and we weren't ready. Anyone know how to start a fire without matches? Juan asked, staring at the pile of driftwood, like it might spontaneously combust through sheer willpower. Silence. Great, I said. So we're going to freeze to death in paradise. Poetic. We're not going to freeze. Taijin crouched beside the wood. They were examining it with the same intensity he used for quarterly reports. Friction method. I need dry wood, tinder, and something flat. You know how to start a fire? The question came out more incredulous than I intended. He looked up, one eyebrow raised. You sound surprised. You're a CEO. The most manual labor you do is signing papers. My father believed in practical skills. He returned his attention to the wood, selecting 2 pieces with care. Said a man who can't survive without his wealth isn't worth the title. Juan snorted. Your dad sounds intense. He was. Taijin's voice went flat. Conversation over. I watched him work, gathering dried palm fronds for tinder, positioning a flat piece of driftwood as a base. His movements were precise, methodical. He began rubbing a stick against the board in quick, controlled motions. Nothing happened. He kept going. The muscles in his forearms flexed with each stroke. Sweat beaded on his temple, mixing with the dried blood I hadn't fully cleaned. His jaw clenched in concentration. Still nothing. Maybe try... I know what I'm doing, he cut me off. Sure. That's why it's working so well. Doyun coughed, badly hiding a laugh. Yunso studied the sky like it was suddenly fascinating. Hwan just grinned. Taijin's hands moved faster. Harder. A thin wisp of smoke curled up from the friction point. There, he muttered, leaning closer, blowing gently on the ember. The smoke thickened. A tiny orange glow appeared in the tinder. Then it died. Damn it, he started again, muscles straining. I knelt beside him. Let me try. I have it. Taejun, you're exhausted. Let someone else... I said I have it. His voice was ice, but his hands shook. Just barely. The second vision hit me like a fist to the skull. Fire, bright and wild, consuming the shelter. Screaming. Someone trapped inside. I couldn't see who. The image fractured, dissolved into smoke and terror and heat. I gasped, the world snapping back into focus. Jiwon? Doyun's hand on my shoulder, steady and warm. What's wrong? You went pale. Nothing. I'm fine. The lie tasted like ash. I'd been getting these flashes since I was 16, little glimpses of things that might happen, usually triggered by stress or fear. They were never clear, never helpful. Just enough to make me paranoid. I shoved it down, buried it deep where it couldn't touch me. Taijin was staring at me now, the fire forgotten. You're not fine. Oh, now you care? I pushed myself up, needing distance. I'm just tired, like you said. Exhaustion does weird things. He didn't look convinced, but he didn't push. Instead, he returned to the fire, his movements almost aggressive now. This time the ember caught. Flames licked up through the tinder, small but real. Taejin fed it carefully, adding larger pieces of wood until we had an actual fire crackling between us. Not bad for a CEO, I admitted grudgingly. His mouth twitched. Thanks. The sun finished setting while we sat around the flames. Darkness swallowed the island whole, turning the jungle into a wall of black punctuated by strange sounds. Clicks, rustles, something that might have been a bird or might have been something worse. We should take shifts, Yunseo said quietly. Keep the fire going. Watch for what? Juan asked. Killer coconuts? Wildlife. Pirates. Hypothermia. Take your pick. Yunseo's expression remained serious. We don't know what's out here. As if summoned by his words, something screamed in the jungle. We all froze. It came again. High-pitched, almost human, echoing through the trees. Every hair on my body stood up. My omega instincts kicked into overdrive, screaming danger, predator, run. What the hell was that? My voice came out smaller than I wanted. Monkey, maybe, Do-Yun offered, but he didn't sound certain. His eyes scanned the darkness beyond our firelight. That was not a monkey, Juan said flatly. The scream came a third time. Closer. Taijin stood in one smooth motion, positioning himself between us and the jungle. Alpha instinct, automatic and absolute. Everyone stay near the fire. Don't go into the dark. Wasn't planning on it, I muttered. Movement in the shadows. Something large shifting between the trees, just beyond where the firelight reached. I caught a glimpse of eyes reflecting orange, low to the ground, watching. There's something out there, Yunseo breathed. The eyes blinked, vanished. We waited, hearts pounding. The fire crackled, throwing dancing shadows across the sand. Minutes stretched like hours, nothing. Maybe it left, Juan whispered. Then the growl started, low, rumbling, coming from 3 different directions at once. Oh God, I said. There's more than one. Taijin grabbed a burning branch from the fire, holding it like a weapon. Stay together, back to back. We moved without thinking, forming a tight circle around the flames. And my shoulder pressed against Do-Hyun's, my other side against Yunseo's. I could feel them breathing, could smell their scents mixing with smoke and fear. Huan stood to my left, and Taijun completed the circle, his back against mine. The growling grew louder, closer. Whatever happens, Taijun said, his voice deadly calm, don't run. Running triggers chase instinct. Great advice, I hissed. Any other survival tips? Maybe don't bleed? Don't smell like prey? Jiwon. What? His hand found mine in the dark, squeezed once. We're going to be fine. I didn't believe him. The eyes appeared again. Multiple pairs now, circling us like a noose tightening. And somewhere in the back of my mind, another vision flickered. Blood in the sand. Four shadows. A choice. The choice was coming. And I still wasn't ready. The first creature lunged from the darkness. Not at us. At the fire. It was massive, sleek and gray, with pointed ears and teeth that gleamed in the firelight. Wild dog. No, bigger. Wolf? Did this island have wolves? My brain couldn't process what my eyes were seeing. Taijin swung the burning branch. The animal yelped, retreating into shadow, but three more took its place. They circled us, hackles raised, growling in a rhythm that sounded almost coordinated. They're hunting as a pack, Yunseo said, voice tight. They're testing us. Well, they can test someone else. I grabbed a piece of driftwood from the pile, holding it like a bat. Not that it would do much against teeth and claws, but standing there empty-handed felt worse. One of the creatures darted forward. Do-hyun kicked sand at it, shouting. It backed off, snarling. Or the fire, Taejin barked. Make it bigger, now. Hwan threw more wood onto the flames. They roared higher, brighter, creating a barrier of heat and light. The animals hesitated, their eyes reflecting orange and gold. That's right, Hwan taunted. We've got fire and opposable thumbs. Back off. The largest one, the alpha of their pack probably, took a step forward. Then another. Testing. My heart slammed against my ribs. The vision flashed again. Sharper this time. Fire spreading. Someone screaming my name. Blood. They're going to attack, I heard myself say. How do you know? Yunseo asked. I didn't answer. Couldn't explain the certainty crawling up my spine like ice. The pack alpha lowered its head, muscles bunched. Get ready, Taejin warned. Then the wind shifted. It came from behind us from the ocean, it carrying our scents directly toward the pack. And that's when I remembered. My suppressant was gone. I'd been broadcasting my omega scent for hours, unfiltered and raw, and I'd been too focused on survival to care. But now, with the wind carrying it straight to a pack of predators, the alpha froze, its nose lifted, testing the air. The growling stopped. All of them went completely, unnaturally still. Why'd they stop? Hwan whispered. I felt it the moment the alphas behind me registered what the animals already had. The change in the air, the sharp inhale from Do-hyun. Yunseo's sudden tension, Hwan's quiet. Oh, and Taijin. His whole body went rigid against my back. Jiwon. His voice was strained, different. Your scent. I know. My grip tightened on the driftwood. Suppressant came off in the water. Can we focus on not dying first? But the pack wasn't interested in us anymore. They were confused, their predator instincts warring with something else. And Omega's scent meant pack, meant protect, meant wrong prey. One by one, they melted back into the jungle, disappearing like ghosts. The silence they left behind was somehow worse than the growling. They're gone, Yunseo said slowly. They just left. Because of him. Hwan turned to look at me, really look at me, for the first time since we'd crashed. They smelled Omega and backed off. Lucky us, I muttered, dropping the driftwood. My hands were shaking, actually shaking. Adrenaline crash hitting hard. Jiwon. Taejin moved to stand in front of me. His eyes were different, darker, his pupils blown wide in a way that had nothing to do with the firelight. Was how long? How long what? How long have you been suppressing? Each word was careful, controlled, too controlled. 2 years, since I started at the company. I met his gaze, refusing to look away. What, you didn't know? You never bothered to check my file that closely? Your file said, beta. My file said what I paid it to say. I smiled, sharp and bitter. Omegas don't get hired for design positions. We get secretarial work, assistant roles, things with support in the title. So I lied. You lied? Do-hyun's voice came from behind me, flat with shock. Yes, I lied. To get a job I was qualified for. To be seen as competent instead of just I gestured vaguely at myself. This. This? Yunseo stepped closer. You mean an omega? I mean someone whose worth gets measured by biology instead of skill. The words came out harder than intended. 2 years of suppressed frustration bleeding through. Someone who gets looked at like a thing to protect or claim instead of a person who can do the damn job. Taejin's jaw worked. We wouldn't have... Yes, you would have. I cut him off. You would have treated me differently, carefully, like I might break, or worse, like I needed saving. I looked at each of them in turn. Tell me I'm wrong. None of them could. That's what I thought. I turned away, staring into the fire. The flames blurred at the edges. Exhaustion was hitting me like a physical weight, dragging me down. For what it's worth, Juan said quietly. You're right, we would have. The honesty surprised me. I glanced back at him, and he shrugged, something apologetic in his expression. We're alphas. It's instinct. Doesn't make it right, but... He trailed off. But nothing, I finished. It is what it is. Silence fell, thick and uncomfortable. The fire crackled. Waves crashed against the shore in a steady rhythm. My scent hung in the air between us, impossible to ignore now, marking me as clearly as a sign. Citrus and something sweeter. Ocean spray and warmth. Omega. We should rest, Yunseo said finally. Rotation watch. 2-hour shifts. I'll take first, Taijin said immediately. I'll stay up with you. Doyun moved to sit by the fire, his eyes still tracking me with new awareness. Great. Wake me never. I found a spot near the shelter, as far from all of them as I could get without leaving the firelight. The sand was still warm from the day's heat. I lay down, using my arm as a pillow, and closed my eyes. Sleep didn't come. I could feel them watching me, could smell their scents mixing with smoke. Cedar and rain from Taijin. Something crisp and clean from Yunseo. Do-hyun's woodsy warmth. Juan's sharp ozone. 4 alphas. 1 omega. Stranded. This was either going to end in bonding or bloodshed. Maybe both. You're not sleeping. I didn't open my eyes. Congratulations, you can see. Footsteps in the sand. Someone settling beside me, close enough that I could feel body heat. The scent gave him away before he spoke again. Rain and something sharper. Yunseo. The others are asleep, he said quietly. Taejin's on watch. I told him I'd check on you. I'm fine. You've said that a lot today. I'm starting to think you don't know what fine means. I cracked one eye open. Yet he sat cross-legged beside me, his torn shirt hanging open at the collar, exposing his collarbone. Even disheveled, he looked put together. Unfair. What do you want, Yunseo? To apologize. That got both eyes open. For what? For not seeing you. He stared at the fire, his profile sharp against the flames. At the office. You were right. We treated you like you were invisible. I treated you like you were invisible. Oh. I sat up slowly, brushing sand from my hair. That's unexpected. Is it? His gaze shifted to me. I'm good with numbers, patterns, data, people. He smiled humorless. Not so much, but even I can recognize when I've been an asshole. You weren't an asshole. You were just efficient. Same thing sometimes. He paused, choosing his words carefully. I reviewed every project proposal that crossed my desk. Approved or rejected based on ROI projections. I never looked at names, never asked who created what. To me, you were just employee 2847. Wow, you remembered my employee number. I remember all the numbers. His smile turned slightly less grim. It's the faces I forget. Despite everything, I almost laughed. That's the saddest flex I've ever heard. I know. He leaned back on his hands, looking up at the stars. My father was the same way. Said emotions clouded judgment. Better to see the world in data than feelings. Sounds lonely. It was. Past tense. Deliberate. Is. The fire crackled between us. Juan snored softly from his spot near the shelter. Doyun shifted in his sleep, mumbling something incoherent. Can I ask you something? Yunseo's voice went quieter. Those moments today, when you went pale, stopped mid-sentence. What was that? My stomach dropped. Nothing. Jiwon. Drop it. Was it a vision? The question hit like a slap. I stared at him, pulse suddenly racing. How did you? I'm good with patterns, remember? He turned to face me fully now. 3 times today you froze, right before something happened. The animals, the wave that almost capsized us. Even the cut on Taijun's head, you knew it was worse than it looked. That's just anxiety, paranoia. Is it? He didn't sound accusing, just curious, analytical. Or is it something else? I could lie, should lie, but exhaustion made me honest. Precognition, maybe, I don't know. I see things sometimes. Flashes, they're not always right. But they're not always wrong either. No, I wrapped my arms around my knees. Started when I was 16. I thought I was going crazy at first. Saw my grandmother's death 3 days before it happened. Couldn't stop it. Couldn't change it. Just had to watch it play out exactly like the vision showed me. Yunso was quiet for a long moment. That's why you were scared. Earlier, you saw something. Fire, blood, someone trapped. The words tasted like smoke. I don't know when. Could be tomorrow. Could be never. The visions are fragmented, useless. They kept us alive today. Barely. Still counts. He shifted closer, his shoulder brushing mine. The touch was light, tentative. Does anyone else know? No, and it needs to stay that way. I looked at him directly. I'm already an Omega who lied his way into a job. Add possibly psychic to that, and I'll never be taken seriously again. I won't tell them. His voice was firm. Certain. But Jiwon, if you see something that could save us, I'll say something. Maybe. If I can figure out what the hell I'm seeing. I scrubbed my hands over my face. This power is about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. He huffed a laugh. Actual amusement. That's oddly specific. I'm tired. My metaphors get weird when I'm tired. Noted. He stood, offering me his hand. Come on. You should actually try to sleep. I'll wake you for watch shift. I took his hand, letting him pull me up. His grip was warm, steady. For a second, we just stood there, hands linked, the firelight casting shadows across his face. Thank you, I said, for listening, for not thinking I'm crazy. You're not crazy, you're just... He paused, searching for the word. Surprising. Is that CEO speak for weird? It's Yunseo speak for interesting. He released my hand, stepping back. Now sleep, that's an order. You can't order me. We're not at the office. Then consider it a strong suggestion from someone who's bad with people but trying. I smiled despite myself. Fine. Strong suggestion accepted. I lay back down, this time actually closing my eyes. The sand wasn't comfortable, my clothes were still damp, and every muscle in my body screamed. But somehow I felt lighter, less alone. Sleep crept in at the edges, pulling me under. The last thing I heard was Yunseo's quiet voice. We're going to get through this, Jiwon. All of us. I wanted to believe him. I really did. If you're hooked on Jiwon's story, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, what happens next with these 4 alphas will blow your mind. You don't want to miss it. The cold woke me, not gradually, all at once. A bone-deep chill that had nothing to do with temperature and everything to do with the sudden absence of warmth beside me. I sat up, disoriented, my breath fogging in the pre-dawn air. The fire had burned down to embers. Hwan and Yunseo were still asleep near the shelter. Do-hyun sat at the edge of camp, keeping watch, his back to me. Taijin was gone. Panic spiked through my chest, sharp and immediate. I scrambled to my feet, scanning the beach. Empty. The tree line. Dark. My heart hammered against my ribs. Then I saw him, standing at the waterline, alone, staring out at the black expanse of ocean. The pre-dawn light painted him in shades of gray and blue, his shoulders tense, his posture rigid. I should have stayed by the fire. Should have let him have his space. Instead, I walked toward him. My footsteps were silent in the sand. He didn't turn when I stopped beside him, didn't acknowledge my presence. Just kept staring at the horizon like it held answers. Couldn't sleep? I asked quietly. Didn't try. His voice was rough, scraped raw. Every time I close my eyes, I see the yacht going down. See you falling into the water. But I didn't drown. You almost did. He turned to face me finally, and the look in his eyes stole my breath. Raw, haunted. Twice. You almost drowned twice, and both times I saved me, I finished. You saved me, Taejin. I shouldn't have had to. His hands clenched into fists. You shouldn't have been on that boat. This whole trip, the team-building retreat, it was my idea. I insisted everyone come. If I just stop, I stepped closer, close enough to see the exhaustion carved into his face. This isn't your fault, isn't it? He let out a bitter laugh. I'm the CEO, the pack leader. I'm supposed to protect the people under me, and instead I got them shipwrecked on an island with wild animals and no rescue in sight. You also got them shelter, fire, water. You've kept us alive. For how long? The question came out broken, desperate. What happens when the food runs out? When someone gets seriously hurt? When what? He looked at me, really looked at me, and something in his expression cracked. When I lose someone, I can't afford to lose. The air between us went electric. Taejun! My voice came out softer than intended. I didn't know you were an Omega. He said it like a confession. 2 years. You worked for me for 2 years and I never knew. Never paid attention. I was so focused on the company, on maintaining control, on being what my father wanted me to be, that I didn't see you. You see me now. I do. He took a step closer, then another. And I can't stop. Every time I look at you, I see someone brave, stubborn, brilliant. Someone who faced down a pack of wild animals with a piece of driftwood and didn't flinch. I definitely flinched. You stayed. His voice dropped lower. When most people would have run, you stayed. You cleaned my wound even though you hated me. You stood up to me when I was being an ass. You made me laugh on a beach where we could die. He paused, his gaze intense. You made me feel human again. My heart was doing something complicated in my chest. Taejin, I know this is insane. I know the timing is terrible. I know we might not even survive the week. He closed the distance between us, his hand lifting to cup my cheek. His palm was warm against my skin. But I need you to know, before something happens, before we run out of time, I need you to know that you matter. To me. More than the company. More than the pack hierarchy. More than any of it. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. His scent wrapped around me like a blanket. Cedar and rain, and something uniquely him. You hated me yesterday, I whispered. I was an idiot yesterday. His thumb brushed across my cheekbone. I've been an idiot for 2 years. But if we make it off this island, if we survive this, I'm not going back to being that person. I can't. Not after this. Not after you. That's a big promise. I know. He leaned closer, his forehead resting against mine. So tell me to stop. Tell me this is a bad idea. Tell me you still hate me, and I'll walk away right now. I should have. Every logical part of my brain screamed that this was trauma bonding, survival instinct, alpha and omega biology, doing what it did best in crisis situations. But logic had no place here. I don't hate you, I breathed against his lips. No? No, I'm terrified of you. Of this. Of what happens when we get rescued and reality comes back. My hands found his shirt, gripping the torn fabric. But I don't hate you. Jiwon. My name was a prayer in his mouth. Just kiss me already before I change my mind. He did. It wasn't gentle, wasn't soft or tentative or any of the things a first kiss was supposed to be. It was desperate and hungry and tasted like salt water and survival. His hands tangled in my hair, pulling me closer, and I melted into him like I'd been waiting my whole life for this moment. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, the sun was starting to rise, pink and gold spreading across the sky like hope. We're going to survive this, Taejin said against my temple. All of us. Together. I promise. This time, I believed him. Well, this is cozy. We jumped apart like teenagers caught making out. Juan stood 10 feet away, arms crossed, wearing a grin that was equal parts amused and knowing. How long have you been standing there? I demanded, my face burning. Long enough. He walked closer, his expression shifting to something more serious. We have a problem. Taejun's hand found mine. He's squeezing once before letting go. Back to business. What kind of problem? The kind where our shelter's been sabotaged. Juan's voice went flat. Someone cut through the support vines. Whole thing collapsed on Yunseo while he was sleeping. He's fine, just pissed. But Taejun, he paused, his jaw tight. It wasn't an accident. The cuts were clean, deliberate. Ice flooded my veins. Who would? That's what we need to figure out. Taejun was already moving, striding back toward camp with that CEO focus I recognized. I followed, my mind racing. We found Yunseo standing over the ruins of our shelter, his face carefully blank in that way that meant he was furious. Do-Yun crouched nearby, examining the severed vines. "Show me," Taejun ordered. Do-Yun held up a piece of vine. The end was sliced clean, not frayed or torn. This was cut, with something sharp. "We don't have anything sharp," I said slowly. "We used friction for the fire. Broke wood with rocks. Nothing we salvaged had a blade." "Actually," Yunseo's voice was quiet, dangerous. "We do." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small folding knife. The blade gleamed in the early morning light. My stomach dropped. "Where did you—" "Found it on the beach yesterday, washed up from the wreckage." He looked at each of us in turn. "I was going to tell everyone, use it for cutting food, making tools, but I wanted to clean it first, make sure it was safe." "So someone took it from you," Juan said. "No." Yunso's eyes were sharp, analytical. "I had it in my pocket the entire time. The only person who could have taken it was someone who got close enough to pickpocket me." Silence fell like a guillotine. "When you think one of us did this?" Do-Yun stood slowly, his expression dark. "Why the hell would any of us sabotage our own shelter?" "I don't know," Yunseo admitted. "But the evidence doesn't lie." "Evidence?" Do-Hyun's voice rose. "You're talking about evidence? We're not in a boardroom, Yunseo. We're fighting for survival. Why would I or anyone actively make that harder?" "Maybe to establish dependence," Yunseo said coolly. "Create a crisis, be the one to solve it, become indispensable." "That's insane." "Is it?" Yunseo turned to Taejun. "You're the pack leader. We all defer to you. But what if someone wanted to change that dynamic? Create enough chaos that leadership shifts?" Taejun's expression was stone. "You're accusing me?" "I'm stating possibilities." "Stop." My voice cut through the tension. "Everyone just stop. This is exactly what we can't afford right now. Turning on each other." Jiwon's right. Juan stepped between Yunseo and Do-Hyun. "Fighting doesn't help. We need the truth." I turned to Yunseo. "Let me see the knife." He handed it over without hesitation. The moment my fingers closed around the handle, the vision slammed into me. Hands, dark, working by firelight, cutting through vines with methodical precision. A face turned toward the camera of my mind's eye, features sharp in the flickering light. "Do-Hyun." I gasped, nearly dropping the knife. The vision shattered, leaving me dizzy and sick. "Jiwon?" Taejun's hand on my shoulder, steadying. "What's wrong?" I looked at Do-Hyun. He stared back, confused, concerned. The same expression he'd worn all day yesterday. Caring, protective. "It was you," I whispered. His face went carefully blank. "What?" "The shelter. You cut it down." My voice shook. "Why?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't lie to me." The words exploded out of me. "I saw it. I saw you doing it." "Saw it how?" Do-Hyun's eyes narrowed. "Were you awake? Were you watching?" I couldn't answer. Couldn't explain without revealing everything. "He has precognition," Yunseo said quietly. "He sees things. Past, future, sometimes present." Do-Hyun's expression shifted. Understanding. Then something darker. "So what? You had a vision? And now you're accusing me based on psychic feelings?" "It's not just feelings. It's not proof either." He looked at Taejun. "You believe this? You believe I'd sabotage us?" Taejun's silence was answer enough. "Unbelievable." Do-Hyun laughed, sharp and bitter. "We're 2 days stranded and we're already turning on each other. This is exactly what I was trying to prevent." "By destroying our shelter?" Juan asked. "By controlling the situation?" Do-hyun's composure finally cracked. Do you know what happens when an Omega's scent is unmasked around multiple alphas with no pack structure? Chaos, fighting, violence. I was trying to keep us dependent on each other, force us to work together instead of competing. By putting us in danger, I stared at him, betrayal burning in my chest. You could have killed Yunseo. I knew he'd wake up. I was watching. Do-hyun's voice dropped. I would never actually hurt any of you. I was trying to help. That's not help, Taejin said, his voice ice. That's manipulation. It's survival. Do-hyun met his gaze. You want to lead? Fine. Lead. Hey, but don't pretend you wouldn't do the same thing to maintain control. I wouldn't. You already did. Do-hyun's smile was cruel. Or did you forget? The yacht trip, the mandatory team building. You orchestrated this entire situation, Taejin. The shipwreck, the island, all of it. The world stopped. What? I turned to Taejin. What is he talking about? Taejin's face had gone pale. Do-hyun, don't. Tell him. Do-hyun's voice was poison. Tell him why we're really here. Taejin closed his eyes. When he opened them again, the mask was gone. Just raw, devastating honesty. There was a threat, he said quietly, against the company, against me specifically. Corporate espionage, hostile takeover. My uncle's faction was planning to have me killed, make it look like an accident, install him as CEO. My breath caught. What? I found out 2 weeks ago. Hired private investigators. They confirmed it. His voice was steady, but his hands shook. The yacht trip wasn't team building. It was escape. I was trying to get us away from Seoul, buy time to figure out who I could trust in the company. So you put us all on a boat? Hwan's voice was strangled. I hired the best crew, checked the yacht myself. It should have been safe. Taejin's composure cracked. The engine failure, the hull breach, it wasn't supposed to happen. Someone got to the yacht before we left. Sabotaged it. You knew, I breathed. You knew we might be in danger, and you didn't tell us. I was trying to protect you. He reached for me, but I stepped back. All of you. If I'd told you, if word got out, the threat would have escalated. I thought I could handle it quietly. Instead, you got us shipwrecked. Yunseo's voice was clinical, detached. Brilliant strategy. I know. Taejin's hands fell to his sides. I know I failed. I made a choice, and people got hurt because of it. I'm sorry. The apology hung in the air like smoke. Sorry doesn't fix this, I said. My chest ached. You lied. You put us in danger. I fell in love with you. The words stopped me cold. On this island, maybe before, I don't know. But I fell in love with you, and I don't know how to take that back. I don't want to take it back. That's not fair. I know. His voice broke. Nothing about this is fair. A sound cut through the tension. Mechanical. Distant. Growing louder. Helicopter. We all looked up as one. There against the pink dawn sky, a black shape approached. The rhythmic thump of rotors grew deafening. Rescue, Hwan breathed. But the vision hit me like lightning. The helicopter. Different markings. Men in suits. Guns. Not rescue. Trap. No! I grabbed Taejin's arm. That's not rescue. It's them. Your uncle's people. They're coming to finish what they started. How do you... Taejin saw my face and understood. You're sure? Completely. The helicopter was descending toward the beach. We had seconds. Into the jungle, Taejin ordered. Now! We ran. The trees swallowed us as the helicopter touched down. I heard shouts behind us, the sound of boots on sand. My lungs burned. Branches whipped at my face. Do-hyun caught my hand, pulling me faster. This way. There's a cave system I found yesterday. We can hide. You were planning escape routes? Yunseo panted. I was planning for everything. Do-hyun's voice was grim. Even this. The cave entrance was narrow, hidden behind a waterfall. We squeezed through one by one, plunging into darkness. The sound of the waterfall muffled everything else. We huddled in the dark, breathing hard, listening. Voices outside, close, searching. Taejin's hand found mine in the darkness. Squeezed, I squeezed back. The voices faded. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the helicopter took off again. The sound grew distant, disappeared. "They're gone," Juan whispered. "For now." Taejin's voice was steady. "They'll be back, with more people, better equipment." "So what do we do?" I asked. Silence. Then Yunseo spoke. "We fight back." His voice was cold, calculated. "We have something they don't. Information, time. One in each other." "Yunseo's right." Do-Yun shifted in the darkness. "Your uncle thinks you're dead. That's an advantage. We use it." "How?" Juan asked. "We stay dead." I felt the plan forming even as I spoke. "We let them think they won. Meanwhile, we build a case, gather evidence, use my visions to predict their moves. When we're ready, we come back and destroy them." "That could take months," Taejin said. "Good thing we're already experts at island survival." I smiled in the dark. "Besides, I'm not going anywhere without finishing what we started." "What we started?" His voice was soft, close. "This. Us. Whatever this is." I found his face in the darkness, cupped his cheek. "You're an idiot for lying, for putting us in danger, for thinking you could handle everything alone. I know, but you're my idiot now, and I don't give up on what's mine." He kissed me, gentle this time. "Sweet, a promise." "Get a room," Juan muttered, but he was smiling. I could hear it in his voice. "We're in a cave," Yunseo pointed out. "Details." Do-Yun laughed, actually laughed. "We're insane, all of us." "Probably," I agreed, "but we're insane together." Light filtered through the waterfall as the sun rose higher. We emerged from the cave one by one, blinking in the brightness. The island stretched before us, our island now, our sanctuary, our war room. "So," Taijin surveyed the beach, the jungle, the endless ocean. "We survive. We plan. We take back what's ours. We become the thing they fear," Yunseo added. "We protect each other," Do-Yun said quietly. "We make them regret ever crossing us," Juan finished with a feral grin. I looked at each of them. I had 4 alphas who'd been strangers, bosses, enemies. Now they were pack. My pack. "One condition," I said. "When we go back, when we take down your uncle and reclaim the company, things change. No more hierarchy. No more treating omegas like we're less." "Agreed," Taejin said immediately. "Full partnership," Yunseo added. "Equal voice." Do-Yun nodded. "Obviously," Juan shrugged. "You literally saved all our lives multiple times. We'd be idiots not to listen to you." I smiled, really smiled. "Then let's get to work." We built a new shelter that day, stronger, better, together. We found food, fresh water, made weapons and plans and promises, and when the rescue finally came, months later, it was on our terms, with evidence, with power, with a pack bond that nothing could break. We walked back into Seoul not as victims, one but as victors, and we changed everything. Thanks so much for watching till the end. If you love Jiwon's journey from hating his 4 cold alpha bosses to finding love and pack on that island, smash that subscribe button. I've got tons more emotional, twisty, absolutely addictive M/M omegaverse stories coming your way. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. See you in the next video.